live now. Jeremy Lee in the building and every guest that you ever needed. Sports cards after hours keep the hobby heated. Updates, hobby talk like you've never seen it. Sports cards live and none could ever beat it. Sports cards is a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Welcome to another episode of Sports Cards Live with your host, Jeremy Lee.
All right, welcome everybody to the first episode of the PWCC Weekly Hockey Auction Extended Bidding Live Coverage. Today is Sunday, January the 22nd, 2023, and my name is Jeremy Lee. I do want to thank all subscribers, viewers, listeners, podcast listeners, everybody for joining us on the regular basis. If you are not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, please take a moment and do so. Would greatly appreciate that. Also want to thank everybody who might have been with us about an hour and a half ago for Collectible Live. We had a great episode there. And last night as well with Becca Davis, we had a great show on Sports Cards Live. It's been quite the run of episodes for me over the past. This is going to be the fourth episode in 4 days. So lots of content coming, but it's all fun and exciting. So thanks everybody for being here. I want to let you know the idea for doing this show really stems from the coverage that I do with my co-host Adam Gray for the PWCC Premier Auction. And, you know, hockey is my number one favorite sport to collect. And every Sunday on the PWCC Weekly, there are some hockey items. And I thought, well, maybe we'll give it a go and cover it on Sunday night. So here we are. And I thought, you know, I really like the arrangement and the chemistry and just the whole situation with Adam during the Premier show. And I thought, let's bring on a co-host for the hockey show. And the person that popped into my mind was Josh Madigan from the Hockey Cards Gong Show podcast. I thought he'd be great for it. So we're going to give it a go. And with that, let's bring on Josh. Josh, welcome to the weekly hockey on PWCC auction coverage. And this is your first time on any version of a show on Sports Cards Live. So I just want to say it's great to have you. You've had me on your podcast before. I'm scheduled to come on again. I'm glad I can reciprocate and just welcome. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. Really excited about it too. It's always fun to chat hockey cards, and we've been working with PWCC a little bit too, and looking at the weekly auction. And I know that there's some great cards to talk about tonight.
Yeah, so we'll definitely go to that. And one other thing that we chatted about and that I do with Adam on the premiere coverage that we do one Thursday a month is we bring on a special guest. And we've had several people come through that sort of position. Karn Rai has been filling that hole for the past several months, and he'll be joining us again next month. And we don't have anyone coming on this time, but I wanted to ask you, Josh, I do enjoy listening to the Hockey Cards Gong Show podcast. It's one of the regular podcasts on my rotation. And your partner, Troy, your co-host, Troy, adds great color. Do you think that Troy would be interested in joining us as a special guest on this show, maybe in the near future?
I think at some point we could hook him on the show. We'll force him to do it. He's a little afraid of the live video thing, but we'll get him there, Jeremy.
Let's work on that. Let's work on that. All right. So for everybody to bring up to speed, the PWCC Weekly Auction has cards and items in all different categories and sports and everything. But there's the hockey category, and there's 215 items ending in this week's auction. So I'm going to very quickly share my screen and just sort of show you how the sorting works. So let me bring this up right here so you can see. This is the site, and I've already clicked on sort, and you can actually, what I really want to point out here is this one right here where it says weekly auction. You can go in and you can pick which one. So right now there's actually 2 weekly auctions that are live. Number 53 ending tonight and number 54 ending next Sunday, because they load these up on a Thursday. So they last 10 days. I have sorted it, so we're only going to be looking at tonight's auctions. Next week, we will look at auction number 54. I just wanted to make that clear because I said there's 215 lots. If anyone watching, listening is doing a different search of hockey, you may see that there are more. So I wanted to show you that. We have it sorted right now, I believe by highest bid. I sorted this a little while ago, and you can see right here, there's 215 items up for auction. And you can even see that I put in an early bid on one of the cards and have been outbid at $8,750 on that very lovely card. Josh, before we jump in, let's just say hello. We have a few comments coming in already. Vintage Card Collector says, I don't know much about hockey, but looking forward to learning more. I gotta say, Josh, that's, I think, one of the missions of the Hockey Cards Gong Show podcast, which is your baby, yours and Troy's baby, along with what I do, is really to educate and to help people. Just, if you want to get into a new category like hockey, for example, the best thing you can do is educate yourself. And I feel like we offer some of that here. Your show is strictly about hockey cards and educating the hobby. Do you want to just speak to that for a second and kind of just toot your horn on what you're doing over at Hockey Cards Gong Show?
Sure, I could talk about it for a minute or two. So Troy and I we're just a couple of guys that love hockey cards. And our show started by us. We were talking back and forth every day, and we thought, boy, maybe we can share some of the learning that we're doing with other people as well. We're not hockey card experts. We kind of think of you, Jeremy, as the oracle, right? If we have a question about a card, we come to you and we'll allow you to be the expert. But for us, it's more about how are we learning each week to become, whether your goal is to be a collector or an investor, or however you want to participate in the hobby. The more educated you are, the better choices you're going to make, and I think the better chance you have of reaching whatever hobby goal you have.
Yeah, well said. And I love your approach, and I love the humility that you guys show on your that you guys portray on your podcast, that you don't pretend to be experts. You're learning as you go, but you guys, I don't know, I enjoy the pod, and I recommend everyone check it out. So Hockey Cards Gong Show.
There you go.
On all the podcast platforms. So thanks for that, Vintage Card Collector. Jeff McMahon is with us. Hello to you. Glad you're looking forward to it. Ken Wood, welcome to the show. Kevin, you're very welcome. Thank you for being here. The Loud Collector is with us. Josh, super awesome. You're on here with Jeremy. Your podcast is top notch. Keep them coming. That's some nice feedback right there.
Thank you.
And Scott Pope says, Marcel Dion, my favorite player, watched him play when he was with the St. Catharines Blackhawks in the minors. Scott, that is Marcel Dion's rookie year is 1971-72. And actually, I guess back then his first year playing would have been 70-71, but his hockey card came out what we call 71-72. I think that's how it worked back then, if I remember correctly. In any event, Scott, welcome to the show. And we have an anonymous Facebook user. If you are watching on Facebook, I do one of two things for me, please. Either go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and click the big blue button. That will enable me to see your name, or just come watch on YouTube, on the Sports Cards Live YouTube channel. Nick Martelli, two shows in one night. Welcome back, Nick. And Tom Harrison says, I will see you at Sherwood Park in May. I will be there, Tom. Make sure you come and say hello and make sure I know that it is you. Awesome stuff, everybody. Welcome to the show. I know Josh and I are excited to do this. And so before we get too far into it, it is right now, it's 6:38 Pacific, which is where PWCC is located in Pacific Standard Time. And so we are 22 minutes away from extended bidding. What that means, if there's any item in this auction that you want to bid on, you have to get in an initial bid in the next 21 minutes now, or else you are not able to bid after 7 o'clock Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern. So important to get your bids in now so you're qualified for what is called extended bidding. And that again starts at 7 o'clock Pacific. That is in 21 minutes. I had placed bids on 2 items. Josh, did you place any bids at all in this item that you're willing to share? Any bids on this auction that you're willing to share?
I usually do, and I think I did, and if you listen to our show, one of our gay or running jokes is we don't remember anything. And honestly, Jeremy, I'm panicking because I don't remember. I think I have bids on 2 items, but I can't remember if it was this week or last week that I did.
Right on. Got it. Well, good luck to you if you are. I did place 2 bids early on. Like, for example, one of the things I recommend when it comes to the PWCC auctions is get your bids in early on any item that you think you may be interested in actually purchasing or continuing to bid in. So here's a Wayne Gretzky Tribute Cup RPA, Tribute RPA. And you can see here, my max bid was $50. So I put in a $50 bid like on day 1 of this when I saw it. And then now I am eligible to bid in extended bidding. Now it's already gotten to $8,750, a heck of a lot more than the $50 that I put in, but that's okay. We'll see. It's expensive now. I'm not saying it's overpriced, not by any means. I think this is a wonderful card in the hobby, but we'll see if I'm going to make any more bids. We'll have to see about that. The other item that I did bid on, if I can, there it is, coming up on this page right here, is this 2012 Fleer Retro Noise Boys Gretzky. It's a PSA 10 gem mint. It's a population of 2 as far as gem mint assessments by PSA goes. And as you can see, I put in a bid of $13. So that means I got in pretty early. I was able to get in such a low bid. It's now at $1,375. So that's 100 times my bid already, Josh. It doesn't take long for these bids to get up there. And, we'll see. We don't know how many different unique bidders there are. We don't know how many are qualified to bid in extended bidding, but those are the 2 items that I am qualified to bid in so far in extended bidding. So we'll go through some of them. Another nice feature with the PWCC website is the top here. I refer to this as the ticker. I don't know what they technically call it, but it is showing us in real time what items in this weekly auction are getting bids. But you'll notice it's covering all the categories, not just hockey. And Josh and I are here tonight really to focus on the hockey items. I want to do one more shout out, Josh, and that's for Rob Gerard, the sports card therapist. Rob is doing a show concurrent with ours right now on his YouTube channel. He's doing a live as well, but he's focusing on the vintage cards in the auction. So baseball, basketball, football. He may touch on hockey. I'm not sure. But if anyone is interested in going back and forth or checking out Rob's show and seeing what he's talking about for vintage, I'm not going to take it personally. I think it's good that we kind of let everybody know that there's more than one PWCC auction coverage show going on right now. And I wish Rob all the best with his inaugural live over there. All right. I just want to say Scott Pope says he aged himself with Marcel Dion and Wayne Fraser. Looks like you. I'm glad to know it's you, and I'm glad that you were able to follow my verbal instructions and go to StreamYard.com/Facebook. And now we see your name, which is way better, way more fun for me. Josh, this is Wayne. Wayne, you might have met him at the Toronto Expo. He's got a big LCS in Ontario and has been in the business a very long time. So. All right, those are my opening remarks. Josh, anything you'd like to comment on, anything right top of mind right now before we kind of dig into some cards? Just open forum for you.
I'm just excited to learn about some of these cards, and I think what you and I talked about the other day was Troy and we're in the Twin Cities here in the U.S., right? And so we can maybe bring the American perspective to hockey card collecting, and it is a total different. It's like a different universe. Almost from, a lot of the cards that are going to close tonight, I've never seen in person. I go to local card shows and they're just never there. And so, I'm going to have a lot of questions for you probably. Like right off the bat, the Wayne Gretzky tribute, when Troy and I were talking about this auction on our show, that confused us. We're like, Sidney Crosby tribute to Wayne Gretzky? What is this? Right? And I honestly don't know. So hopefully at some point you'll be able to educate me and other maybe newer collectors or people that weren't familiar with the sets around the time that came out about, that's why you're the Oracle, Jeremy, so we can learn a little bit about these cards.
Yeah, that's a bit of too heavy praise, but it's funny, Josh, because I have some expertise in several years of hockey and several sets and brands, but there's some things that I just don't keep. I'm not that up to speed, and one of my weaknesses, I'd say, is in the 90s, kind of, while I've collected a lot over the past few years, it's the one period where I wasn't like buying boxes every week and opening packs and really studying the formats of the various sets. So now that changed for me when Upper Deck started producing a lot more insert cards in the 2010s. They made a concerted effort to up their insert game. We see a lot more acetate cards, rare inserts, a lot of tribute inserts to sets of the past. And to your question just earlier about this Gretzky card, and I'll show it again here. So it's this one right here that we're talking about. As everybody can see, this card is in the same design as the 0506, the Cup set. And it's an autograph. You've got the game worn patch, the picture of the player. The differences between it and the actual Sidney Crosby, Alex Ovechkin rookie cards are really two things. One, this is not a true rookie card. Obviously, it came out several years after Wayne Gretzky's rookie card. But the other one is this is numbered out of 10. whereas the RPAs are numbered out of 99 or 199 or 249. It depends on the year. So that's the one thing. The other thing is that it's referred to as the Sidney Crosby tribute. I don't love that name for this set, Josh, but what it is Upper Deck. What they did is they said, okay, we're gonna do these tributes. So they're not truly rookie patch autos, but they're tribute rookie patch autos, and we're gonna do two different groupings of them. One of them we're gonna call the Crosby tribute. It's gonna be North American born players, and we're gonna number them to 10. The other checklist is gonna be European born players, and we're going to number them out of 5, and we're going to call them a tribute to Alex Ovechkin. So
gotcha.
That's what the difference between those two cards. So, or those two sets, and that's really what this is. And they've done it in other sports, and they've done it there's exquisite tributes as well, which are a tribute to the it depends what year, the 03 or the 07 exquisite cards in basketball. And then they've used those designs in hockey as well, which are some pretty cool cards too. So Makes sense?
Totally makes sense. And it's really interesting to learn it. And again, like what I've found is, Troy and I have been knee deep in learning and studying hockey cards for almost a year now. And at this point, we feel like the more we educate ourselves, the less we realize we actually know. There's just so much to know. And I think to your point, it's very easy to have expertise in a particular segment of sports card collecting or in the hockey card hobby, but then you get a little bit outside that area of expertise, and all of a sudden you got a lot more questions than answers.
For sure. And I think asking questions is super important. And again, when we discussed you coming on here, one of the things that I said was, I think it's great. And you just said it yourself, you're coming at it. You're American. You live in the Twin Cities in Minnesota, and you're a hockey fan. I mean, Minnesota is a hockey hotbed as far as the US goes. So it's apropos that you're there. And I think it's a great opportunity for you to ask those questions that myself or someone in the chat can answer. And you're kind of acting as a proxy for everyone who is in that same sort of position, interested in hockey cards, maybe very passionate about them, but wants to learn. I think you're going to be a great conduit for that. So thank you for doing it, really. Couple more comments here. Daniel says, hi, everyone. This feels like the old days when these were on eBay. And yes, I used to cover the PWCC auctions. This goes back to, I think as early as February of 2020, when one day I was just thinking to myself, I'm going to go watch all those PWCC auctions, and I might as well just go live and share the experience. And they became very popular. And then the premiere started, and we did the premiere. And now that PWCC is on their own platform, it's very appropriate that we're here doing this and partnering up with Josh. And I just think this is a wonderful situation. So thanks for that comment, Dan. And Peter Collect says the Dryden rookie card looks great. Prefer tops over O-Pee-Chee due to the front colors and the vertical back. Ooh, Peter, you threw one at me that I didn't realize, that the back is oriented differently on the 71 O-Pee-Chee versus tops. There you go, Josh. There's a little tidbit of information. Definitely. Loud Collector says the humility is amazing, Josh, but you and Troy have passion, and that's what card collecting is about. That's why your podcast works really well. You guys know much more than you think. Yeah, I think there's some truth to that, actually. I feel the same way. Hello, Clay Phillips and Global in the house. Good day to you. All right. You want to talk? We want to look at some cards?
Yeah, let's do it. Well, I have a comment on the Dryden and the 71 O-Pee-Chee. To me, that's one of my favorite sets, Jeremy. And this is just a personal thing, but one of the things that I love about different sets and years is I love sets where, let's say you don't recognize the year it was produced, but just by looking at it, you know exactly what time frame it's from. And the 71, whether it be tops or O-Pee-Chee, that just screams early 70s to me. And that's one of the things I really appreciate and love about the set. And of course, it's got the Guy Lafleur rookie in there too. So that helps that be, even more amazing.
Yeah, no, that you make, I love the point you just made, that you can look at that and you just know when it's from, you know that it's 70s, early 70s. And there's, I kind of wonder as the years go by and I become, and we as collectors and enthusiasts, we become so aware, and the designs are just, they're ingrained in our brains that we know it's 70s. But would somebody who doesn't know what this is look at it and think that's probably from the 70s, and you kind of just affirmed that, yeah, that's pretty much how it works for that set. And if you think about the 2 years after that, which are to me two of the ugliest designs in hockey cards, the 72s and the 73s, I feel the same way about those designs as well. So good point there. And Daniel points out that the Dryden rookie is the first goalie card to ever feature a goalie wearing a mask on a hockey card. So there you go.
That's
Josh,
cool.
There's maybe a little trivia tidbit for a Gong Show episode later on. What did we learn on the PWCC Weekly, maybe?
Well, Troy is a goalie coach, and he doesn't give himself a lot of credit. He's a very acclaimed goalie coach, and so he would have loved that comment right there, because that's really his collecting realm is goalies. And I think that's what he enjoys about our shows, doing all the research and learning about some of these legendary players of the game that built the foundation for what the NHL is today.
Right on. Yeah, that's another beautiful thing about being in this hobby is studying the history through the cards. You might purchase a card not knowing much about the player, and then going and doing your research on the internet, on Wikipedia, the Hockey Hall of Fame website, etc. There's lots of places, or vice versa. You go study and then you start buying cards of players because you feel like you know them better. I think those are both really organic ways of doing it. So right now, Josh, I have the auction, the 215 hockey items sorted by highest bid. I think I'm going to change the order to chronologically, and let's go through them from kind of oldest to newest. So I'm going to change my sort right now and go from earliest year first. Hit apply, and hopefully this doesn't cause my connection to slow down too much as the PWCC website turns out the new search result. And then I'll share my screen and we'll just run through and talk a bit about some of these sets. So I'm going to bring it up right now. Here we go. So again, 215 items in the auction, and it looks like the oldest one is a 1911 C55 Bruce Ridpath card. So something about early hockey cards, Josh, is that we have the tobacco era, 1911 to 1910 to 1912. The C series, the C11s, the C55s, the C55, C56, and C57s. They don't come out in that order. And I was hoping to see a few more of them, but we have one card here. That's fine. We've got it, like I said, the 1911, the C55 Bruce Ridpath. Seems to be in really nice condition, and it's a VGX4 as assessed by PSA. Josh, have you taken a foray into the tobacco era these 3 years and kind of educated yourself or become familiar with the designs and the checklist and the Hall of Famers that are on the checklists?
Not yet, no. And one of the first questions I have for you, were these only distributed in Canada, or could we have gotten a card like this in 1911 here in the US?
Well, that is a great question. So I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head, but what I have right here is my handy copy of the Vintage Hockey Collector book written by my friend Bobby Burrell. So I'm going to just kind of flip through, and he provides that sort of information. And let's just see what it says about these. It says the first known. So I'm looking at the description here, Josh, for the 1910s. So it's just above the 1911s. But it says this first known set of cards contains players from the 7 teams that made up the National Hockey Association. They 36 cards numbered on the front. How they measure. The manufacturing has long been attributed to the Imperial Tobacco Company. Recently discovered in a pack of Derby cigarettes was a C57 card. So it doesn't. He doesn't say in here where they were made available, but I'm gonna guess that it was just in Canada. That would be my guess, and that in the U.S. they would have been the baseball cards, likely the T206s. So that would be my guess. Yeah. But
one of the things that Troy and I are doing on our show is we're for, like us and a lot of collectors in the US, is we're doing a masterclass series. And we've already had a guest on to Sports Card Cartel that kind of walked us through 80s OPC. You're coming on soon to talk about the 1950s sets in Parkhurst, I think, in particular. And I think eventually we'll get to some of these cards. And that's kind of been one of our goals is, well, let's find an expert that knows that segment inside and out and has passion about it. And let's do an hour and a half deep dive and just get all nerdy about it.
That'll be a great idea. I can't wait to listen to that myself and maybe learn something learn something new about those cards. So, and I think really kudos to you guys for doing these 101s because they're super interesting. So, and I look forward to recording ours. Wayne Fraser calls out the Bobby Bible. The book I just showed says that he just sold a set of those. I think just Canadian distribution. Thanks for that, Wayne. And Kevin lets us know that there's no 506 rookie update Ovechkin in this auction. I've seen 2 versions of the Crosby, where both versions available in packs. Rookie update Ovechkin in this. Yes, they were all available in packs, Kevin. You're talking about the set called Rookie Update. You're talking about the dual autograph cards. They're called Rookie Inspirations that year. Now, Crosby wouldn't sign with anybody else, so he signed one. He has his autograph, and I think he has 2005 number 1 draft pick or something like that in the second window. But we'll get to that. All right, next up, I see we have a lot here of 3 of them, 1924 C144 Champs hockey cards. We have a Mickey O'Leary. I've never heard of him. We have an Odie Cleghorn. I've certainly heard of Cleghorn, and a Reg Noble. I've heard of him as well. Low grade, but not low grade, but high grade in terms of what's out there. The populations of these overall are very low. I can't speak to them exactly, but I'll just tell you, I don't see these cards very often at all. I've never owned a card from this exact set, not for lack of wanting, but that's just how scarce they are. And we have 3 of them right here. We have a PSA 2, a 1, and another 2. And you can see they're right now sitting between $110 and $320 for the 3 cards. And they look pretty good. I like the sepia tone, Josh. Have you seen these before, aware of them whatsoever?
I've seen them casually, but the thing that stands out to me here, and I'll kind of bring it back to more the modern collecting. So if you open a box of clear cut from, like, let's say 2020, and there is a Champs insert set in there. And so obviously you can see the tie-in into and sort of them Upper Deck paying homage to the Champs, of pre-war.
I'm so glad you pointed that out because I didn't even make that connection yet. I open up a box of Champs once a year or so. So yeah, that's a great call out. This is what the homage is to. This is what inspired the modern day Champ stuff. So very, very good. I'm glad you brought that up. And then we're going to skip forward. So important to note that we're going in this weekly auction, there are no cards up for auction from 1924 to 1951 Parker. So there's nothing from 1933, which is, to me, a very important year. Maybe there'll be some next week or the week after. I'm sure we'll see them come and go over the course of time. But again, rarity, scarcity, hockey collectors are very passionate. I would say hockey collectors are the most passionate of any sport of collectors. That's based on people I've come across and know. I mean, there's passion everywhere. Don't get me wrong. But hockey collectors are, that's Canada's main thing is hockey. So very, very passionate. And we don't like to let our cards go very often. So nothing between 24 and 1951. And then we get into some 51 Parker. So I'm just going to kind of see how many we have here. Looks like we had 8 above there. We'll see, wait for some images they're not really coming in for me. I don't know why. Let them populate here maybe a little bit slowly. But if I just look at the descriptions, we have several rows of 1951 Parkers here. I'm going to do a quick, here they are. Here they're coming in now. Okay, so we have them all in. So Josh, we've got at least, it looks like 16 51 Parkhurst cards. This is the first year of Parkhurst. This is the first set of hockey cards since 1940, I believe, 40 or 41, when O-Pee-Chee made some kind of off-size issues. And this set is 105 cards deep, chock filled with rookie cards and Hall of Famers. And but if you look at the cards, to be honest, they're not visually breathtaking by any means, but they are breathtakingly significant in my mind and important because they are the first cards. And you have the rookie cards of Gordie Howe and Maurice Richard, 2 all-time greats. Never mind Terry Sawchuk, who I profiled on my reel this week for his second-year card. And then you got Ted Lindsay, you've got Red Kelly, you've got Alex Del Vecchio, the list. Doug Harvey. I don't want to forget Doug Harvey. He was Bobby Orr before Bobby Orr was Bobby Orr. And so you've got some great and important. The Bill Barilko winning goal card. and so on and so forth. So, Josh, what are your thoughts on 51 Parkhurst, just as far as importance and beauty and size and anything you'd like to say about them?
Yeah, so Troy and I went in November to the Sport Card Expo in Toronto for the first time. And prior to that, we had never seen one of these in person. And honestly, you see them in sales history or different auction results, and you get it. Okay, it's a Gordie Howe rookie, it's an old card. But both of us were really taken aback when we saw it in person and developed a much deeper appreciation for them. And again, it's a much different universe here than where you are. If I go to a local card show here, I will never see one of these cards, not even one. Typically, we've gone for 10 years and hadn't seen one, and so we're just, I think, at the start in learning about them. But the ability to see it in person really, I think, made us more and more interested in it, and that's why one of the reasons why we're going to have you on to walk us through the significance of not only the sets but the players and kind of how it tells the history of hockey and the history of hockey cards.
Great. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And it's just so interesting to hear that, the card shows that you're going to, you're not seeing a single Parkhurst out in the wild. And, as you said, at Toronto Expo and really any local show here, I expect you're going to see at least one or two cards, if not dozens of them, because they are so hotly pursued. But, as even Daniel right here makes the comment, he says, I'm finding high-end vintage hockey is becoming harder to come by. I think it goes for like all ends of the vintage, even the mid, the low, because there's so many people that are trying to put together this set. This is a hugely important set for hockey because of the roster of Hall of Fame rookies that I mentioned, and that there was nothing before it for 10 years. So the fact that there's lots of people putting the set together, some people might be going all for, say, PSA 8s, which is very expensive. Some people are going for any copy they can get their hands on. They just want to have these things represented because they are so cool, even though they're smaller, even though they're not, breathtakingly beautiful, like say the 54 top set is, or the 53 Parkhurst set is. They're still going for these cards because of their importance. Okay, I'm going to go to the page 2 now. Let's see how that loads up. And while we're doing that, Ken from Pastime makes the comment that the Crosby in the rookie update was a redemption. So the question was asked earlier, was it available in packs? Well, it was. You had to pull the redemption card and then send it in, but you couldn't pack pull it. So to me, it's still pack available. It was just a redemption card. But thank you, Ken, for adding that level of detail and nuance. I didn't remember that, and I collected the whole set of rookie inspirations from all 3 years that they produced, that Upper Deck made that product. 05, 06, 6, 7, and 7. No, 03, 4, no, 2, 3, 3, 4, and 5, 6 were the 3 years the rookie update came out. And I collected all of the rookie inspirations. I've since traded them or sold them all and just gone with other rookie cards, but it was a cool set at the time. And you know what happened, Josh? The reason why I started collecting that set was because I opened up a box or a pack at the LCS and I pulled one of the cards. I'm like, these are cool. Now I'm going to go for the whole set. And it's funny how that works. You get one and now you need to do the whole checklist, and then you need to do the whole checklist over multiple years. Has that ever happened to you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I get hooked in all the time, right? It just takes that one card to get you hooked in there. And I do have a comment. I can't remember who the commenter was that said that high-end vintage are becoming harder and harder to come by. And one of the things we do a lot is we track the market. And you've definitely seen that over the last 3 or 4 months, that the high-end vintage hockey market has been really, really strong.
Yeah, good to hear. Good to hear. Okay, what does Kevin say? He says, I never collected vintage because I felt like I just didn't have the knowledge, but thanks to Jeremy, I've been learning. Well, that's really great to hear, Kevin, and make sure you're, especially when Josh and Troy start to get further into their, and even go back and listen to the first one they did on O-Pee-Chee with Sports Card Cartel, Eitan. I listened to that one. Eitan did an amazing job educating on O-Pee-Chee. I was really impressed, actually. So check that out. And there's going to be more of those coming on soon, as Josh was saying, one with myself. And Nick Martelli says, lots of collectors I find are scooping up vintage across all sports, which has made it tougher to find. Hockey vintage is a needle in a haystack. especially for most American markets, unlike in Canada. Yeah, so opportunities there for Canadians to go down to the States and maybe sell your cards down there. And then last comment was, Kevin said here, wasn't there another version of the Crosby rookie update with a Gretzky auto? I don't think so. There wasn't, as far as I know, but there was, I think it was an SPX card that came out. It's a sticker auto card with the Crosby Gretzky, and numbered out of 25. That might be the card you're thinking of, Kevin, but I'm almost certain there isn't an inspirations card from Rookie Update. Okay, Josh, let's look at page 2 here. Some more 51 Parkers. There seems to be 7 more cards. And I kind of went through and looked, and there's no major names are available this week except for this Ted Lindsay here, which is, it says PSA 1 on the holder. It looks really nice to me as far as the PSA 1 goes. I'm not like from this distance, and I obviously not looking at it close up. I'm not seeing any real major creases or surface defects or really bad scuffs. The print seems to be good. The centering looks amazing. The edges look fine. The corners actually look pretty natural to me. By natural, I just mean I like my naturally weared corners. It's just personally what I like for vintage cards. So this is a decent card as far as a 1 goes. Probably a really nice option for somebody who's collecting a low end. I won't say low end. I'd rather say low grade. A low grade set of the 51 Parkers cards. So there's some good stuff. And Josh, here's one of my favorite cards, if not my favorite card in the auction, is the 52 Parkers Terry Sawchuk, which I profiled on my Instagram reels. I absolutely love this card, and I showed it there too. I'll just unshare for a second and share. Here, this is my copy. This is a 6, an X mint, and I mean, I just love the painting. I love the red, how his red uniform and his goalie pads just kind of pop off the card. The painting in the background, you can see the mesh in front of the people in the stands. You can see the people in the stands, the ice, the rink boards. I love this. And if you look at the one on the screen, we'll go back to this. This is a nicer copy. This is a PSA 8. It's at $2,500. When I did my reel, Josh, it was at $925. It's now basically tripled in price. And to me, this is a card that I would have no problem telling somebody or telling people, like, go, this is a great card. It's a great historical piece. So don't be afraid to buy it. I don't ever want to tell people what to buy or give investment advice or anything like that. But this is a card that I'm like, yeah, go for it. It's such a great card. What were your thoughts on it, Josh?
Well, it kind of looks like a Norman Rockwell painting to me a little bit. And, I get that vibe a little bit too. It does stand out a lot. I think I made this comment to you earlier, Jeremy, that especially when you compare it to the 51, it doesn't look like that they're just a year apart, right? It feels like that the printing technology became so much more advanced in 1 year. The other thing too that I think about, and this is just like a general PWCC comment, but one of the things Troy and I have really appreciated is the quality of the imagery. We come from the world of buying on eBay where, the card is like half dark, tucked in a couch cushion, and you're trying to like look at it sideways to figure out if the corner is dinged or not. But the images are such high resolution that you can zoom in any one of the auctions. You can see every inch of the card and get a really solid understanding as to what you're buying. And I think, if you were going to make a bid on a card like this, that having this level of detail in the images is really, really critical to making the best choice for your collection.
Yeah, that's really well said. And as you're saying that, I tried to click through so we could just see what you're talking about. And I mean, I'm looking at this card, and I'll always say you cannot grade a card by looking at an image on a screen. You just can't do it. You need to be able to turn the card around and have a look at it from various angles and stuff like that. And for my view, that said, there must be something we can't see because it looks nicer than an 8 to me. On the front, at least. Here's the back, and on the as Josh was just saying, on the PWCC site and the weekly auction, you can zoom into 5 times the resolution. I mean, this top left corner on the back might not be perfect, but gosh, is that something to bring it off a 9? I don't think so. As I scroll down, I'm not seeing anything that is offending me. There's a minor print dot, but I don't care. That to me is wouldn't impact the grade off of a 9, maybe off of a 10. So it must be that the centering just is slightly off. It's slightly wider on the bottom, the border than the top. Side to side, it looks like a 49-51 being 49 on the left to me. But again, it's without a measuring device, it's hard to tell exactly. I just think this card is a phenomenal specimen of cardboard. And that's why I profiled it, because I love it so much. $2,600. I mean, a PSA 8 Sawchuck rookie from the year before. I don't know. Someone could maybe tell us what that's worth. Maybe that. And Josh, maybe you can even try to pull that up on your handy card ladder database there. But what's an 8? What's an 8 Sawchuck worth? It's got to be 20,000 plus, I would think, maybe even more. It is his rookie card, but it's not nearly as nice as this second year. So I don't know. We are in extended bidding, by the way, everybody. We're 11 minutes into extended bidding. So if you do not have bids in on these cards, you can't bid on them anymore tonight. You'll have to watch for another copy in the future. Just wanted to point that out. If you are eligible, then good luck to you. And this window is open for the next 18 and a half minutes, which means that if any card, well, actually, I'm not going to say that because I have to actually check and see how this compares to the Premier. Yes, how it works is if there's no bid on this card during the extended bidding window, this lot will close, but the rest of the auction will continue, or items that have received a bid. Yeah. So
Jeremy, going back to the 51 Parker's Terry Sawchuck PSA 8, all-time high on that is 24,000 US, and that was set in July of 2021. And I think another note on this card at 2,600 already, this would represent an all-time high for the 52 Parker. So the lot we're looking at right now.
Do you happen to know when the last time a PSA 8 sold for this of Sawchuck in 52?
I can find out 1 second.
Yeah, take a sec. That'll be interesting just to see, when it was, because things change over time.
2015. It sold for $2,010 US. So
my gut is that if it sold for $2,000 in 2015, I would think that this is at least now a $5,000 card. Just sort of a 2.5 times what it was back then, I think makes about sense. And if this was a year ago, I'd say this could be a $10,000 card by now, right? So thanks for that data, Josh. That's excellent. All right, let's go back to the main page and continue on. And of course, I'm just so curious to see what this sells for. I would hope it would get some more bids because I just love the card. Okay, so Parker's from 1951 were these little cards. 52, they get a bit bigger. And then 53, they get so much bigger that they're bigger than sports cards of today. And just look at the improvement, Josh. Here, we'll put the Parkers, the 51s and 52s in the same purview here. And now we've got the 53s. Like, they're bigger. There's more art to them because a lot of cards in 52 Parkers don't have these painted backgrounds. They're just solid colors. They kind of muted out the background. Some have it, some don't. In 53, I believe they all have painted backgrounds. How do you like these ones down here, Josh, compared to the 2 years above?
How big are the 53s? I think I lost sound, Jeremy.
Shoot, I was coughing, so I muted myself and I forgot to unmute myself. Sorry, guys. Thanks for letting me know. The 53s, I believe, are 2 5/8 by 2 5/8 by 3 5/8 versus the standard 2.5 by 3.5. So, yeah, what do you think?
I think I gravitate towards that 52 set, but I can appreciate the 53 as well. And to your point, it's really fun to, in a setting like this, to see them next to each other, to be able to follow the evolution, right? It gives you a sense of how the hobby has evolved and how the technology and the thought that was put into designing cards evolved as well.
It certainly did. I'm so glad that they made them that much bigger. The key card in the 53 set is the Jean Beliveau rookie. It's his rookie card. It's an absolutely gorgeous card. He's a top tier Hall of Famer. I think he won like 11 Stanley Cups, or maybe that was Henri Richard. Maybe he won like 9 Stanley Cups, something like that. The man is an absolute legend. So that's the 53s. They're just a beautiful set. The best player available this week, I should say, in 53s. Well, look, we've got Red Kelly, we've got Ted Lindsay, Milt Schmidt, all worthy players. Teeter Kennedy might be a notch below in terms of popularity, but these 3 players, especially Kelly and Lindsay, are, Hall of Famers, played with Gordie Howe, won Stanley Cups, just really great cards. And, these 5s, well, this is a 7. The Red Kelly is a near mint 7. The Ted Lindsay is an excellent 5. These look really nice to me. I don't mind some toning on the borders, but the corners and the edges just look really sharp on these 2 copies from this view. As we move on, we get into the 57s, a couple of 1957 Topps cards. I'm a big fan of 57 Topps. There were no 56 Topps. There were no 55 Topps. However, there were 54 Topps. So the 57s have 3 key rookies, one of them being this guy right here, Johnny Busick, the other ones being Glenn Hall, and the third one being the Norm Allman. And all 3 are very important Hall of Fame rookie cards. And look again, we have a Terry Sawchuk, not rookie year, but a 57 Topps Terry Sawchuk. And what a card like this is great for is for people who are doing the whole run. A lot of people like to do the run of their favorite player, whether it's Gretzky or Gordie Howe or a Sawchuk or anybody really. It's a lot of fun to do, and I think that's what a lot of people who are buying these cards, or they're just filling in their sets. They're doing their 57 top set and picking these up. But great cards. I love the colors, even though there's no real backgrounds or solid, but they're still pretty cool. So, Josh, we didn't see any 54 Topps cards in this auction, but we're seeing 57 Topps. Any just comments from you on their aesthetics?
Yeah, I have a question. So, are those photos versus illustrations or paintings? When did it switch to photographs of the players represented on the cards?
That's a really good question. I'm not exactly sure. I do believe that these are paintings. The first photograph cards that I can think of, I know that I'm starting in the further along, like even the 63 Parkhurst with the flags in the background. I think those are photographs. If I'm just thinking about looking at the cards themselves, they seem that detailed. 65 Topps, definitely photographs. 64 Topps are photographs, the tall boys. 61s, though, I'm thinking about like the Stan Mikita rookie card.
Okay.
And is that a photo? I'm just not sure, but I think this is a photo. Let's zoom in. Let's zoom in and have.
Well, they got the high res photos, so let's take advantage of it.
Yeah, we may as well. Always slows down my connection a little bit as these load, so I apologize if you lose me at all. But let's jump in here and see if we can get a closer look. I mean, it looks like a painting to me.
Yeah.
What about you?
I agree. I think it is too. And being from northern Minnesota, I appreciate the background. Not only can you have a piece of history, but if you tape it to your sleeve during deer hunting season, you should be good to go, right? With that bright hunter's orange background there.
There you go. Dual purpose on that card for sure. Okay, we're going to go to a couple comments here. Nick Martelli said the colors look amazing. He's talking about the 52 Parkhurst Sawchuk. Matt, can only imagine in hand how much better. Yeah, it is a beautiful card. Vintage Card Collector says, outside of Wayne Gretzky, is there a clear-cut most collected vintage player in Canada, if not top 3? I think there is a clear-cut top 3 with Gretzky being in there. Josh, do you have any thoughts on who the other 2 might be? Putting you to the test here, buddy.
Okay. No, I'm up for it. Gordie Howe would be the obvious. I'm going to guess Guy Lafleur.
I mean, I was thinking Bobby Orr. I would think that
Bobby Orr, that was a miss. And then maybe like a Rocket Richard or Beliveau or Jacques Plante or something like that.
I think all those guys. Yeah, I think you're on it when you hone in on the Montreal Canadiens and even the Toronto Maple Leaf Hall of Famers. So you're looking at like Dave Keon and Frank Mahovlich from the Leafs, and then the Montreal Canadiens just have a plethora of Hall of Famers, and right down to Guy Lafleur and Ken Dryden and Steve Shutt and Larry Robinson. Like the list kind of goes on and on. Never mind the Richard brothers and Beliveau and Yvon Cornwallier. There's a whole bunch. I'd love to hear you and Troy pronounce Yvon Cornwallier if you hadn't heard it before on the play. Don't make us.
If anything's going to make us quit podcasting, it's going to be pronouncing hockey card names. It ties us up in knots every week. And we spend an insane amount of time on YouTube before each episode practicing, and we still stink at it.
You just call me up. I'll give you the quick and dirty on how to pronounce these players' names. Baseball card curmudgeon. Julian, how are you? Welcome to the show. Daniel A. loves the Sawchuck card. Jake Dahl has joined us. Good evening, Jake. And Tom Harrison says, I think Bobby Orr is the answer. Yeah, definitely one of the answers for me, Tom Harrison. And welcome everyone who's joined us to the show. If you guys out there, you have any questions, comments on these vintage cards, these vintage hockey cards or hockey cards in general, shoot them into the chat. If there's any cards that are on sale tonight in this PWCC weekly auction, let us know that. Oh, look at this. Jay-Z, my buddy Jay-Z just says bidding on 14 cards as we speak.
Wow.
That's great, Jay-Z. Well, good luck to you on all of them. And maybe if we're still live when this auction ends, you will. And the beautiful thing about the weekly, Josh, is that we're going to see some of these cards end tonight. We're not going to see them. We may or may not see them all, but they end one at a time versus all at once, like the premiere. So we'll be able to keep tabs on them, which is great. So, okay, let's keep on going through these and seeing what else we have. So some 59 Parkhurst from about 1959 to 61. The designs don't change all that much. There's nothing there. Here's a 59. This is the basic design. They're either vertical or horizontal. Basically an image with a one color border on the bottom telling you either the player's name or describing the card. This is an action card. It says Canadians on guard. So, they're guarding the net. That's probably Jacques Plante in net right there. And so it's an action card. It's not a specific player card. They added a bit of color here with this sort of hockey stick shaped background, kind of a, not exactly, I don't know what you'd call it, but some sort of hockey stick shape. And then, here are some more. This is a Topps card, actually 59 Topps, but here's a Parkhurst, not much different. Just added some color to the background of the 1960 Carl Brewer, who does get some hobby love, actually. So we go through the Parkhursts, get into the 70s now with the 70 O-Pee-Chee Gordie Howe. Like, there's a hockey stick, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Josh, it's a bit more. And this set always reminds me of the 87 O-Pee-Chee and top sets that have a hockey stick coming down the edge as well. It's just more of an updated version from 16, 17 years later. So really cool stuff there. Daryl Sittler rookie from the 1970 set. The 70 set of O-Pee-Chee has three key rookies in it. You've got Daryl Sittler, Bobby Clark, and the third one is Gilbert Perreault. Very, very condition sensitive. Josh, I'm noticing that there's no 68s, the first year of O-Pee-Chee in this auction, but there is a 64, the tall boy, the Rod Gilbert. He's a New York Rangers Hall of Famer. These cards were very popular in the day because they're tall boys. They were kind of different. And I knew people back when I had a card shop in the early 90s in Winnipeg. There were people collecting this set. I remember specifically coming in and asking for these singles. And unfortunately, I never had too many of them, just a few here and there. But what's your any thoughts on the 64 tall boys, Josh? Is it a set you're familiar with? Something you want to learn more? Any questions about it?
I have a little bit of familiarity, and I collect a little bit of basketball too. And so I'm familiar with tall boys from that perspective. And I think what I've learned about really any tall boy card is that they're, to find one like this in an SGC 7 is pretty good. That, they're big cards. So they're much more prone to get dinged and dented and creased, and a lot harder to keep in really good condition. So the SGC 7 aspect of this really stands out and impresses me about that card. Yeah,
I fully agree with that. This is an interesting piece here, a 4-in-1 O-Pee-Chee card from 69. So the second year of O-Pee-Chee. This would be like an insert card, an early insert. Now it's not a rare insert, but it's definitely an insert. You would have gotten one per pack back then. And they're pretty cool. One of these days, I'm sure Upper Deck via the O-Pee-Chee brand will reintroduce an insert, make it an Easter egg or something like that in the spirit of these. Hey, Josh, we've seen Easter eggs over the years, and I'm sure those are always fun to look at. Before we go to the next page, actually, what I'll do is here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to unshare for a moment. I'm going to load up page 3 in the background and just go to a few comments that we had come in. The first one, I want to, Tom Morrison reminded me not to forget about the Brad Park rookie from 1970. Another, to me, he's just below the 3 I mentioned, but very important as well. Definitely rounds out the 4 important Hall of Fame rookie cards in the 1970 set. And my bad for forgetting to mention that one, but it's because in my personal collection, I don't have a Brad Park rookie, and I'm not coveting one, but the other 3 I just feel are that much more important and cards that I've added to my collection. Jay-Z lets us know that most of the 59s are from him. I know Jay-Z puts together those Parker sets, which is very cool. Jake Dahl says, I like those in-action cards. Great cards for the beginner vintage collector. Yeah, that's a great point, Jake. I appreciate that as well. Wayne says, I think I'm going to be asleep before mine end. The perils of getting old. And you live on the East Coast, Wayne, but come on, you're not that old, buddy. Jake Dahl says, Martin Brodeur is very collected too. I mean, if we're going to talk about modernish players, then you're going to get into Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid and maybe Ovechkin are probably the most collected players today, more so than even, Gordie Howe and Bobby Orr. And I would almost think by a long shot right now, those guys are, because they're here and now. They're, what have you done for me lately? All that sort of stuff. But yeah, Martin Brodeur, winningest goalie of all time, most shutouts in NHL history. I mean, yeah. And the guy is underloved. I would say he's even underloved and appreciated by the hobby for all of his accomplishments. So
one of the things I could point out to Jeremy really quickly is, and maybe just to plug our Instagram real quickly, but usually the first or second day of every month, we go back and list the top 25 player sales for the previous month. So how many cards did Wayne Gretzky sell in December, or Bobby Orr, through it, both vintage and modern, and rank the top 25. And Marty Brodeur is a lot of times in the top 25. Bobby Orr usually sells, I think, around between 600 and 800 cards per month on the secondary market. But the king every month is Gretzky. He sells usually over 3,000 cards a month on the secondary market.
So, I mean, that's data you can't get anywhere else, people. Like Hockey Cards Gong Show, Instagram account, as well as the podcast itself. I follow you guys on Instagram, and you not only do you provide the data, but you also do it in a very graphically pleasing way.
Thanks.
You put together nice posts. I do appreciate them. Let's get through these comments here pretty quick. Jay-Z says tall boys are tough and high grade. The high numbers are even tougher. And Vintage says, do many people collect the entire run of guys like Howe and Orr similar to collect? Yeah, they do, Vintage. I mean, that's what I was kind of saying that earlier. That's why some of these cards do so well. A lot of it has to do with the PSA set registry, the player collections, and it's satisfying, And the other thing about a player run that I love is that, rather than going after a complete set of 1965 Topps hockey, you can, if you want that set and that design represented in your collection, well, maybe you're doing a full run of Gordie Howe. He's in there. Maybe you're doing a full run of, Frank Mahovlich, whoever it might be. That's a great way to get every year into your collection without being kind of like a slave to the checklist. Now, don't get me wrong. Collecting a complete set is a worthy endeavor as well. But if it's not for you, because you don't want all these kind of common players in your collection, a player run is a great sort of compromise as far as my beliefs go. So, And then Tom says, what do you guys think about the first Topps cards, i.e. Marcel Dion, 70-71, O-Pee-Chee, but he has no Topps until 72-73. I don't know what you mean, Tom. Marcel Dion, first card is 71-72, and he does have a 72. Oh, no Topps. I see what you're saying, because there were different, the checklists were of a different length. O-Pee-Chee always had a bigger checklist than Topps, right from 68 forward. So I think that adds some mystique to where you have a rookie card in one set, but not the other. That happens with Mark Messier in 1980. Ray Bourque has a Topps and O-Pee-Chee rookie, but Mark Messier only has the O-Pee-Chee rookie. And I think that's what you're getting at, Tom, that Marcel Dion doesn't have the Topps rookie, but does have the O-Pee-Chee rookie, if that's correct. And I think that's what you're saying. So thoughts on it? It's kind of neat. Just adds another nuance to the whole thing. Yeah, Jay-Z says player run, great idea. I definitely agree with that. All right, Josh, we'll bring back on the screen. And speaking of 71s, here we have right across the top the trifecta of 71 rookies: Guy Lafleur, Marcel Dion, and Ken Dryden. The BVG 6 Lafleur, the PSA 7 Dion, and the PSA 8 Ken Dryden. That's a Topps card. So these two are O-Pee-Chee. This is a Topps card. And as you can see, they look the exact same on the front, but as we've learned, the backs have a different orientation. So that's pretty interesting right there. And the Dryden has the exceptional ranking, top 15% by PWCC in terms of the 15%, the top 15% of copies that have passed through their desks over the years. And then you get into the 72s. You see what I mean by like the least attractive design of all time with that a kind of skin tone colored border, Josh. Yeah, I'm not a fan of these cards, but there are some pretty neat, like here's just a neat picture, and the images used sometimes are very cool. But unfortunately, it's not that beautiful of a set as far as my eye goes. So please forgive me if someone out there loves it. But here, this card right here, someone called this out in a comment a little bit earlier, and I'm just going to scan to see if I can find it. But the Borje Salming 1974 O-Pee-Chee rookie in a BVG 9. Very, very tough year for condition overall. A lot of times centering and other reasons, but it's like the Lanny McDonald rookie is very difficult to find in high grade. The Borje Salming is one of the top rookies in the set. I believe the Denny Potvin is also in the set, and $800. And he just recently passed away, Josh, which I'm sure you're aware of. I like this year. I like the design. I like the hockey stick coming down, the colored border on the bottom, the team logo there. I think it's a great set. How about you?
I think it's super cool. He looks like a hockey player in the card, and with his passing, it gave, unfortunately, this is how life works out sometimes, but it gave Troy and I the opportunity to dig in a little bit and really learn about him and his contributions to the game and what, he did for European players coming over to play in North America, where you don't think anything of it today, right? To have whether it be Scandinavian or Eastern European player in the NHL, you learn, and this is, I think, again, one of the cool things about sports cards is it's a doorway to really learn about the history of the game. And, through this card and unfortunately through his passing, we've learned a lot about him over the last couple months.
Well said. Well said. As we continue along, we have a 1978 Topps unopened wax pack slabbed by PSA. Important to note, with any wax pack that is slabbed by PSA, it is first inspected by Steve Hart at the Baseball Card Exchange to ensure that it wasn't tampered with. He does that for packs, but he doesn't grade the pack. He just tells PSA that, look, this pack has not been opened before, and then they grade it based on their grading criteria, which really comes down to just the condition of the wax wrapper that is wrapping up the cards on the inside. I love these unopened packs. I personally have a complete run of O-Pee-Chee unopened packs from 1970 to 1989. All the different series in the early years, the WHA packs, the 4 years of those. I think they're super cool. To me, it's not about the cards that are inside them. It's about the fact that these are like a relic of time. These are what kids bought and opened. And I bought and opened so many wax packs when I was a kid throughout the 80s that I remember opening the packs, and I went back and I just did the whole run. And the goal for me is to actually display them. And I haven't done that yet, but to have them in a nice display, to appreciate them for the wax pack artwork. I think they're super cool. And maybe one day I'll do a little episode showing off my unopened pack collection. Josh, your thoughts on unopened packs?
Don't know a lot about it. It is interesting to me, and it's something I would appreciate. I think if I were to buy any unopened packs, because of my lack of knowledge, I would probably buy one that's graded and encapsulated. Have you ever sent a pack in, Jeremy, to have it authenticated and graded?
Yeah, I did. So when I was putting together my run, I bought most of the packs that are in my collection I speak to graded, and I bought most of them at the National between, like, I don't know, probably 07 and 2010 is when I built that collection. But there's a few times where I found packs, but I bought them from a very trusted source, an old school local card shop that went by the name of ABD Cards. They were out of Winnipeg and Calgary, and I bought those and sent them off for grading, and was very happy with them. So
Cool.
yeah, I did, but I bought them from a very trusted person. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to do it. So I probably wouldn't have done it. So okay, let's keep on running through here. We have some 79s, of course. This is the last playing days card of Gordie Howe. I think that this is a great card for a collector to have. I personally have an O-Pee-Chee copy in mint condition in my collection. I love it. I was going to do the Gordie Howe run, but I decided not to do the whole run. I put my priorities elsewhere. But this is, I have his rookie and I have his last card, and I think that's a beautiful pairing. And of course, we have a Gretzky rookie here, the Topps BVG 5.5. Speaking of BVG, Tom Harrison asked the question here, is that Borje-Salming sheet cut because BGS grades sheet cut cards and PSA does not? It's a great question. There's truth to that. Beckett Vintage Grading Service has been known and very outwardly known to grade sheet cut cards, meaning cards that were cut by someone other than the factory, so later on in time. And PSA, reportedly does not do that. It doesn't mean necessarily, Tom Harrison, that this is sheet cut, because they also grade non-sheet cut cards, but it might have been. And I would probably make that assumption, and then I'd start with that assumption and then try to figure out why it wasn't. And that would just be by looking at the edges and seeing if there's any roughness to them at all. If it's just a deadly sharp, if the edges are deadly sharp, I would assume that they are sheet cut. And a lot of people don't care. They're happy to buy those cards.
Mm-hmm.
And now, Josh, we have a Topps Gretzky and a Mint 9 OC. So the OC qualifier up here, meaning that this card is a Mint 9, except for the centering. Obviously, it's up and to the right, and they added the qualifier. PSA since then is not doing qualifiers as much as they used to. They've changed their grading standards, but this got that grade. Typically, these sell at about 2 grade points lower than what the actual 9 would. So you could kind of estimate that this should, and it has sold. The auctions are starting to end. This sold for $3,360. If this was an actual 9, this is about a $35,000 card. So big difference there. This is different, Josh, because when I do the premiere show with Adam, the cards are ending all at one time. And here we're seeing some are already starting to sell. So when I refresh, we'll see how many are still live and going. So maybe we should, I don't know. Let's do that. Let's see. We were at 200 and it looks like 208 results since I went to this page. So cards are starting to end. Let's do this now. Why don't we go in here? We're going to sort now by highest price. And we're going to keep the weekly auction at this week. And let's just hit apply and see what happens. We're going to go down from 208 cards. Let's see, did the Sawchuck sell? The Sawchuck is up to 2,800 and it is still live. But if there is no bid in the next 51 seconds, it will end. The Johnny Busick that we looked at earlier is up to 300. It sold for $312. I mean, that looks like look at that card, is gorgeous for a 5. Look at the side to side centering, looks great. Top to bottom is, I'm not saying the side to side is perfect, but I mean, the image is just so clear and the colors are so deep. What a beautiful card for $300. I think someone got a steal on that from a eye appeal perspective. Just me, though.
I agree.
So we're down to 64 items left. I've been outbid on this Wayne Gretzky RPA tribute. It's now at 18,500. I am out of the running. I will not be placing any more bids on that card. Gosh, I wanted to be able to buy that, but that is just too much money. Josh, we do have still alive is this BVG 10 Steve Yzerman rookie from an Opeachy. It's at $5,500. What do you know about this card, if anything, Josh?
I know a little bit about it. So my dad lived in the Toledo, Ohio area when I was growing up. And so this would have been in the early 90s, and he had Red Wings tickets. So I got to go to a number of games and see the captain in person and see the Russian Five play in person as well. I grew up, I actually caddied for Steve Yzerman once. So that was a unique experience for a 13-year-old. And it's one of my favorite hockey cards of all time. Some might call it undervalued, but we don't like to use the term undervalued because this is a market and the value is what people pay for it. So I tend to use the term underappreciated.
Me too.
Cards of all time. And one last sold in July for $6,600. So it'll be interesting. I don't know if it's still some bids on it. So it looks like, that people are going to, that's a card people want.
Yeah, and keep in mind that this is at $5,500. This is actually, you can add on $1,100 to that, so it's actually $6,600 with the buyer's premium. So it's actually, these numbers, important to keep in mind, everybody. These numbers do not reflect yet the buyer's premium. When an item sells, it'll automatically show you what it's, so like right here, these where it says sold for, these include buyer's premium. But where it says current bid, they do not. But PWCC is really good on their platform that as soon as it's over, it flips to the all-inclusive price, which I really like. That's pretty cool. We talked about the rookie inspirations before. Here's the Ovechkin rookie card, dual auto with he was partnered up with Ilya Kovalchuk, who before Ovechkin was the hottest Russian player like of all time in sports cards. And he's doesn't have that sort of level of attraction anymore, but still a pretty cool card. And if you're a Russian hockey fan, these two guys are heroes, so definitely a cool card. I also love the SB Game Used authentic rookie cards that they made. This is at a $9.99 BGS 9.5, $775. I'll be honest, that's a steal. And the reason I say that is because you compare it to his Young Guns, which is, there's only 999 of these printed. I think there's 999 Young Guns in the pop report, if not more. So this is it's a rare card, but it sells for like a fifth of what the Ovechkin Young Gun sells for. So it's kind of like, I think the aesthetics on this are okay. The Young Gun's a beautiful card, but it's also the flagship card. This is not a flagship card, so it's going to have more collectors because there's more people that do Young Guns. But if you like to incorporate scarcity or scarcity into your collecting, this is maybe a better purchase overall. That's how I feel. I'll leave it up to everybody else, though. Obviously, like Josh made a great point, the market decides. So is the market going to change its thoughts ever? That's what you're kind of gambling on if you think that this is a better card. And I would lay that bet myself, but that's just me.
Yeah, and Jeremy, I have a couple comments on that particular Ovechkin. Number one, if you bought any of the 2021 Game Used, they did a tribute a set within 2021 Game Used to these cards. And so it kind of ties back in with the current with, going back, what would that be now, 17 or so years ago. And so I think that is real cool. And to your point, one of the things that Troy and I talk a lot about on our show is when looking at how to make decisions on cards that especially can build value over time, is we've been talking about the word replaceability a lot. And is a card this card easily replaceable, or is it hard to replace? And the harder it is to replace, we think the longer term value potential it might have.
I love that, man. I love the knowledge you're dropping. That's great. Yeah, I think that's the thing about Young Guns. I recently decided that I don't really need to hold on to my Young Gun cards anymore. I thought, I'll have a Crosby, and Ovechkin, and McDavid, kind of the trifecta of Young Guns. And I've kind of thought I don't necessarily need those anymore. For me, I do consider myself an advanced collector, so this won't apply to everybody, but I'm putting my priorities towards different cards, rarer cards. But that's not going to be for everybody. But I'm doing that because I can easily replace those cards anytime. And same thing goes for a Gretzky rookie. Same thing goes for a Bobby Orr rookie, a Gordie Howe. You can find these anytime. Sometimes though, they're a lot, they are scarcer, some of those cards, like the Orr and the Howe, but you can still find them if you want one. And, some cards are just super scarce. And again, you have to consider the grade as well. Look at this Gretzky tribute card. It's now up to $19,500. This thing is really, really doing well for itself, I would say. And the Sawchuck is up to $3,000. So that's nice to see. I think you had told us that the last one, I forget what you said, sold for $2,500 or something like that. Or no, it was $2,100 in 2015 when you looked that card up, I believe.
$2,010, I believe, in 2015.
2010,
US.
right? Yeah. All right. So what are we down to for? It says 64. The Sawchuck is still alive, as we just said. This one's sold, and close up that window. And just go to comments for a quick second here. We'll just sort of hover here at the top as some bids come in on various items in the auction. JG won a Larkin rookie. Congratulations. Yeah, Kevin, look at that Crosby Gretzky tribute. The Mayor of Canada is in the house. That is Richie Barone, my good buddy. Rich, I just happen to know it's you, even though you didn't go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and click the big blue button so your name would show up. And look at that, Josh. The Sawchuck got another bid at $2,900. It just disappeared. Nice full auto on the Gretzky. Yes, it is. Wayne Fraser recognizes the Mayor of Canada. Go Wing, says Jeff McMahon. And T-Dot says the Yzerman is overpriced. But it isn't, T-Dot. I just have to say that it's not overpriced because at least two people fought it out to $6,600. So if you understand how markets work, as Josh explained, I would say it is priced just right. What you might mean to say, T-Dot, is that I think it's overvalued by the market. That is a comment that I could not dispute in the least. I mean, it depends what you think. If you are okay purchasing cards that you believe are sheet cut versus pack pulled, I don't collect sheet cut cards. I do not want them in my collection, but I respect anybody who is happy to have them. They were still printed at the facility by the company. They were just cut later on by a private person, most likely. So really depends what your preferences are. T-Dot says they bought the holder. There's a piece of that, but the holder is part of the unit now. So, but I get you. I'm a buy the card, not the holder guy too. Chuck Clement says picked up the Lemieux Topps PSA 9. Wow, for under $1,000? No, not the 85. Couldn't have been the 85. Couldn't have been the 85. I can't imagine it was. If it was, then maybe it was. If it was, then yeah, you stole it. Would be my thoughts on that one, Chuck. And if that's the case, congratulations. Loud Collector says people keep bidding on my McDavid double overtime. Nick says, how do you guys feel about the cards cut from boxes? I love them. I love box bottom cards. I have 3 or 4 in my collection. I think they're the coolest things ever because those sat on counters in stores and got scuffed and still survived all this time. They were cut nicely, and I love them. I love them. Josh, what about you? Box bottom cards, and have you put any thought into those in the past?
I didn't know a lot about them until recently, and I think it was about a week ago now. We did a post on a record sale of the 85 Topps Lemieux box bottom PSA 9 that sold for $5,000 US, and that got us really interested in learning more about these, and we got a bunch of feedback from collectors on it too. And the thing that I guess that stood out to me and what we were hearing was that if you're a Lemieux, a guy like Jack Hughes or Kirill Kaprizov comes out today and there's 9,000 different rookie cards. Lemieux has, most people think of as 2. There's the Topps version and the slightly different OPG probably first and then Topps, of course. And to have a third option for collectors and have the uniqueness of the box bottom is, I think is very appealing to people and is sort of points to why a card like that sold for $5,000.
Yeah, no, you nailed it again. It's that third option. It's the fact that people don't even understand that it exists. And when they see it, it's got the same pattern, but it's got the yellow background instead of the white background. and it's got a different image of Mario Lemieux, which I think is really cool, because if it was the same image, I don't think it would be, it just wouldn't be differentiated as much. The fact that it's a different image is, to me, unbelievable. And a long time ago, I added the O-Pee-Chee copy to my personal collection. It's one of the ones that I, as I was mentioning, I have some. It's one of the ones, the box bottom cards that I own in myself. And I mean, I'm going to pull it up and show you guys the copy. I'll pull it up on my Dropbox. I'm very proud of this card. I loved when I acquired it. I just think it's so cool. And it's a high grade. It's an O-Pee-Chee, but it's also a PSA 9. I'm just going to do this quick and so that's my copy of the O-Pee-Chee box bottom. And to me, it goes great. I have a Topps and an O-Pee-Chee rookie card. So I have all three of them. And I think that it's an amazing trio of cards. So I absolutely just love it. And it's one of those kind of, oddball sort of things in collecting where it's not pack pulled, but I'm okay with that. It's not sheet cut neither. It's box cut. And I think that the survival rate of them is much lower than an uncut sheet that people had to roll up and move around, and they got stubbed when you put them in a poster holder and tack them on the wall, all sorts of things like that. So I think it's super cool. And just love, similar to collecting packs. It's just another way to really immerse yourself in the hobby. So we're down, Josh, now to 41 items that are left out of 205. And there's 3.5 minutes left in this 5-minute window. So in 3.5 minutes, the bids that the items that are in red here, where it says bid needed to extend item, they're just going to fall off, and we'll have fewer and fewer items left up for bid. The Borje Salming is still out there. This card is at $21,000 plus 42. This is a $25,000 card. So Josh, I consulted with a friend of mine on this Gretzky because I was like, I wanted to buy it, and I was willing to go up to about half of where it's at right now. And we were kind of talking about what's it going to go for. And he said, I think it's a $25,000 card. Well, right now it's sitting at $25,000. Wow. He also told me, I think he said when it first came out, 2011 or something, it sold for $1,600. So man, oh man, would it be a nice to jump into that DeLorean and go buy this back then. And I wonder how many times, probably once or twice, one of these came by my booth at the expo, and I scoffed at $1,600 for a Gretzky auto patch, and you can get most of them for $350 or $400 back then. And now I'm like, darn, I wish I would have grabbed one, because what an amazing piece.
Yeah, I have a comment on that, Jeremy. So in Card Ladder sales history, that sale from March of 2012 for $1,625 US is the only sale in the Card Ladder database, which goes back something like 18 years. So I think, other than looking at the difference between $1,625 and where it sits now with buyer's premium around $25,000, it also gives you a really good indication how rare this card is. And yes, people, I'm sure it's shown up at card shows, but as far as public sales go, it's only ever sold once, and that was 10 years ago.
Yeah. So what a crazy talk about how comps, you need to take so much into consideration versus just the number, especially the timing, the proximity of time. Of course, it's almost like that comp, you just throw it away and you forget about it. It means absolutely nothing unless you know that the market on this card has gone up by 15 times, and maybe you can, or 20 times you can do it. But otherwise, it's tough to really use it to your benefit when assessing the value of cards when the last comp is over 10 years ago. So we got a minute left in this level of extended bidding. 41 cards still remain. And this card here, so these two are, unless there's a bid in the next minute, these cards will sell at their current value plus buyer's premium. These two are still alive. Let's see what's going on down here. 2 alive, 2 that need a bid to continue. Here we have this one sold. So that Crosby is done. We have 2 that are alive, 1 that needs a bid to continue, being this Ovechkin Rookie Inspirations. Here we have a sold, 2 alive, 1 still needs a bid. This is probably one of Jay-Z's cards that he's selling. And then in this row here, we have 2 sold, 2 are going to go into the next window. And here we have 1 and 1 with 2 sold. And I guess by the time this next 13 seconds go by, we're going to lose a page, and we'll see how many are left. So while that is counting down, I'll just scroll up here so we can see the count at the top. This might be done at $21,000. Looks like that is sold at $21,000 or $25,200 with buyer's premium. So I'm going to do a quick refresh here. Oh, there it goes. $25,200 it's sold. The Sawchuck got a bid. That continues on. And all these ones all do. So I'm going to do a quick refresh here, guys, and let's see what's left from 41. While I do that, actually, I'm just going to let it load because I feel like I might lose a bit of my awesome connection here while it's going through the process. Take a look at the Sawchuck. It's at $3,000 or 3,600, and there it is, up to 32. So here we go. We're down to 20 items left, Josh. So this thing, goes pretty quick, a lot quicker than the Premier does. We're down to 20 items left. Here they are. 20 hockey items left in the first. This is actually, I think, the 53rd weekly auction by PWCC, but the first time we're covering it on Sports Cards Live with Josh Madigan of Hockey Cards Gong Show. Make sure you guys are subscribed and listening to their podcast, him and his partner, Troy. Josh, going to go to a couple comments here. Nick Martelli says, box bottoms. I said, I think we covered that one. I certainly love it. Wayne Fraser says, my Prism, Cracked Ice, McKinnon, and Kucherovs are letting me down. Yeah, I think McKinnon's lost a bit of his luster this season, and Kucherov just never had the luster he should have based on his play. I'll leave that at that. Rubberside Down says, took the family to an AHL game and sat really close to the ice. What an experience. Yeah, sitting close to the ice is awesome. Nick Martelli here says, I agree, way better than Sheet Cut for sure. Speaking about box bottoms, I have a few from O-Pee-Chee 2015 when they did, but would love some older ones. But man, the prices are high on them. Yes, they are. And Nick, I also collected those old the O-Pee-Chee boxes from like 2015, and I cut the box bottoms myself with a guillotine cutter. And I keep them. They're part of my collection. I think they're super cool. T-Doc calls out the O-Pee-Chee rookie sticker as a fourth option. I suppose it is. I wouldn't consider it for me a fourth option, but because it's not the card, it's the sticker. But I'm sure some people do. What do you think, Josh?
I don't know a lot about stickers. I know. I guess what I've heard about them is they were produced at a time when maybe it was thought that cardboard cards were too expensive. Am I right in saying that? It was a cheaper alternative to maybe they didn't think that the cards themselves were that viable. So to produce something, they produce stickers. But that's really, I think, where my knowledge starts and ends.
Yeah. So, and I'm not sure if you're right or wrong on that. It could be either way. When I was in the 80s, I used to go to school with my sticker album and trade at recess with my friends to fill out my sticker album with the stickers. And to me, I never thought of them as cards. I do now consider stickers more like in the card area, in the card category, even though they're stickers. But gosh, how many of those did I peel off their backing and put in albums? Like hundreds, if not thousands of them. But I don't feel that much nostalgia for them. I never liked the cover of the books weren't that great. They didn't have super awesome graphics on them. So for me, I don't really have any interest in going back and collecting them. But, I don't know, maybe with the fact that they're, when T-Dog calls it the fourth option, it's kind of cool. I don't know. I got to think about it. I got to think about it for myself. See if I would go back. I'm kind of starting to doubt my position on them, but we'll see. I got to think about it. Wayne Fraser says, I just reacquired an autographed Lemieux Topps rookie. Love those older auto RCs. Very nice, Wayne. Congratulations. Loud Collector scored a low-level 2015 McDavid PSA 10 for under $100. Congratulations, Mr. Loud Collector. Really happy for you. And yeah, under $100 for a rookie McDavid rookie card in gem mint condition. Yeah, I think you did pretty well. Congrats. Yeah, T-Dot says the stickers were made for the albums, and they most of them ended up in albums. I remember opening up those little flimsy packs and just looking for the last one I needed, Ken Morrow. I couldn't find it. I actually had to trade for someone. I had to get him to peel it out of their album, let me put it in mine and give them all my traders. And I kind of put a bow on the set that year. And Wayne talks about the 7-Eleven Lemieux card with Rick Kehoe or something here. Mike Bullard, he shares it with, one of the two guys. I don't remember who. Is it designated as a rookie card? To me, not even to me, no. It's like credit card material. It's off-size, rounded corners. You know, I don't know. To me, it isn't a rookie card, but I'm sure some people might consider it to be one nowadays, and I'm not going to argue with them or disrespect it. So what do you think, Wayne? Do you consider that 7-Eleven Lemieux to be a rookie card? And curious what other people think. And did anybody else out in the chat, did anyone else win anything tonight? I mean, we're down to 185 cards have sold. We're down to 20, and we're going to lose some more, or some more will be sold in the next 35 seconds. Look like this Ovechkin just got a bid up to $3,000 for his SB Authentics out of 250 autograph. That's a rookie year card. Pretty cool card. Really cool card. Nick Martelli says, a nice slept-on McDavid rookie is the O-Pee-Chee Glossy. Yeah, good call out on that one, Nick. I think it's got nice aesthetics as well. So, Josh, 10 seconds until this round ends. We're going to go from 20 cards live. We'll see how many, but the top 4 all got bids. Looks like we're going to lose maybe 3 over here. We lost 2 over here. Yep. Here we lost 3. By I say we lost, I just mean they've sold. They're going to fall off the screen when I refresh. And here we go. A couple more Parky sold for in the $50 to $60 range for these kind of low-grade commons for the most part. Third-year Mario O-Pee-Chee PSA 8 sells for $37. Some more 51 Parker's cards. Chuck Rayner being the biggest name here in a PSA 2 does $93.60. The pack is still alive. This is a Topps pack. Sorry, my bad. This is an O-Pee-Chee pack. 84 O-Pee-Chee PSA 10s at $170. $180 now. Just got a bid. That could potentially have a Steve Yzerman rookie, a Cam Neely, Chris Chelios, a Pat LaFontaine. The list actually goes on and on that year. There's many more, but those are, I believe, the 4 big ones.
Would you throw Doug Gilmour in there?
Oh, how can I forget Doug Gilmour? Thank you. Yes, I after I said that, Josh, I'm like, I think I'm forgetting somebody. And then I thought, I said Neely. Doug Gilmour, to me, is number 2 behind Steve Yzerman in kind of importance for me. Look at that. Dallas Mooney, congratulations. Won the 57 Sawchuck. Wow. That's a great card, man. Congratulations to you. Love to hear that. T-Dot says the Lemieux sticker rookie commands doll. Yeah, I've seen it sell for good money, T-Dot. I think for me, I don't know, because I have the other 3, maybe I would grab it and then have the quad, have the quad set. Maybe I would. T-Dot, you might have just cost me some money here. You might have just influenced me to go buy that sticker card, the Lemieux sticker. Gosh, T-Dot. Chelio, I said Chelio. Oh, Andre Chuck is a good call out, as is Tom Barrasso's rookie is also in that set. Yeah, T-Dot, bang on there on those 2 for sure. So, Josh, what do we got here? Let's do a quick refresh and see. And I feel like we're down to the minute windows now. So, yeah, we're down to the minute. So if a card doesn't get a bid in a 1-minute period, it falls off and sells. We have 4 cards left, 4 items left in this weekly auction, everybody. These are them. These are the survivors. If this was a survivor pool, that's a fun game, Josh. We should do next week. We should play Survivor. Pick a card, and if it lasts, if it makes it to the last, whatever, 4, 3, 2, 1, whatever, then we need to figure out a prize or something. But that could be a lot of fun for these shows. So we got this is a pretty rare Gretzky. This is out of 25. This is a rare 90s Gretzky SPX Finite Spectrum Marquee Performers. Only 25 made, mint condition, says Beckett Grading Services, and it's at $19.25 plus buyer premium. But you're going to see, it looks like, did this get a bid? It must have got a bid, yeah. So all 4 cards, got all 4 items here, all 3 cards in the 1 pack got a bid in the last few seconds. So they will go for 1 more minute, and that's why it's in reddish orange here. If another bid comes in, we know that we have a bidding war going on. We already know we have bidding wars going on, but we'll know it's continuing and that this will extend again for another minute. So we'll see what happens there. Bids coming in on other items in the auction that are not hockey. But again, we are only focusing on the hockey on this show. Dallas Mooney says won the 51 Jim Henry, both Winnipeg-born goalies. Big Daddy Cool Breeze. That's a Dallas Mooney knows me Is that from me saying it on the show? But yes, I used to have a nickname, Josh, Big Daddy Cool Breeze. It's also my ComC name. Yeah. But Dallas Mooney says I'm from Winnipeg, and I used to bartend at a chain. There was a restaurant called Moxie's, and it's a chain of family restaurants with bars. And I was a bartender in the lounge there for about a year or so. And back in 1997, Josh, and one day, one of my buddies, a server, Michael, his name was Michael. He came into them. They called me Big Daddy there. He goes, because I'm 6'6", right? He goes,
sure.
He goes, Big Daddy, when you walk into a room, it's like a cool breeze. Big Daddy Cool Breeze. I'm gonna start calling you Big Daddy Cool Breeze, and it kind of stuck for a while with that group.
That's not a bad nickname. Half the time when your buddies give you a nickname, it's something horrible. So yeah. I think you did well there, Jeremy.
Thank you. T-Dot says, Jeremy, you corrupted me too. Now I need a box bottom Lemieux for quads. Hey, T-Dot, we'll be quad brothers then. Kevin says, thanks again for doing this, Jeremy. Hopefully you will be able to do it again soon. Always enjoy taking in your hockey knowledge, and there is just not much in the Premier. There were only 2 cards in the Premier auction that we did on Thursday, Adam and myself. But this time, we'll focus on the hockey. And Kevin, because we've had a great turnout here, great interaction. Josh, I think we're definitely going to do this again. And we'll just do it as long as people are enjoying it. I see no reason not to do it, and bringing Josh back from Hockey Cards Gong Show. So here we go. The Ovechkin Rookie Inspirations with Ilya Kovalchuk sold for $1,350. That's buyer's premium included. And there's 3 items that are still left. None of them have bids yet. So we'll see. This one, I would guess, Josh, that this one is going to go the longest if they don't all end at the same time. Just because of its scarcity. It's only 25. It's not that hard to find this 84 wax pack. I mean, you might not find a bunch in PSA 10 condition, but they're definitely out there. And as we can see, this one did get a bid, so it will last at least another minute, as will this card. I'm curious. There must be a set registry thing going on for this, for this item here. And is the pack done? The pack seems to be done.
Okay.
The pack is sold for $264, and there are 2 items that are still surviving. The Gretzky Rare Spectrum, Finite Spectrum Marquee Performers out of 25 from 1998 in mint condition. And this, I would never, Josh, could you imagine if someone in a Survivor kind of game picked this to last till the end? I mean, I never, ever, it might be the last item I picked.
Yeah, who'd have thunk it?
Who's on it? Bobby Baun, Kay Schinkel. Oh, well, Tim Horton and Bernie Parent. I didn't even realize that. You got Tim Horton and Bernie Parent on there. That's why this thing is still going, because you've got two Hall of Famers on there. And I think this speaks to people who might be doing the run. They want every Tim Horton or they want every Bernie Parent item. And this is really a second-year Bernie Parent card. His rookie is the year before, the 68. So this is it's a cooler item than I thought. I didn't look closely enough earlier at who the players were. So, What do you think, Josh? How did you find the auction? Any comments at all you want to make?
It's been awesome. It's been a lot of fun. I'm staring at the Ovechkin and Ilya Kovalchuk card there, the dual auto, and it brings me back just about less than a week ago. I was sitting with my daughter, who's a 14-year-old hockey player, and the Wild were playing the Capitals, and TJ Oshie came on screen. He's from Warroad, Minnesota, so I made that connection. And then during the period intermission, because we were talking about TJ Oshie, I showed her from the 2014 Sochi games, one of the big USA hockey moments, the 8-round shootout that was essentially a one-on-one battle between Oshie and Kovalchuk. I know Pavel Datsyuk had a couple opportunities in there too, but so for me, I think that adds to a U.S. collector maybe a little bit more of a significance to that card.
Yeah, that could definitely be it. That's a cool perspective. And one of the things, if you're looking at any of these rookie inspirations cards, whether it's Ovechkin, Crosby, or the other, like Gretzky had at least 2 appearances in the set. One was with Eric Stahl one year. The other one was with Jason Spezza. Gordie Howe showed up twice, once with Henrik Zetterberg, the other time with Nathan Horton, I think it was. I think it was Nathan Horton. So it's a pretty cool set. And but one thing to look for is to make sure that the autograph is fully visible. We talk about, how autographs are graded by the companies that do grade autographs. And I'm not a big fan of graded autographs, but it's like, did the autograph go off the card? If it does, it's an automatic non-10, usually a 9. Well, in this case, these are actually, they call them Avery label autographs, where they're Avery labels. You can buy at any office supply store, and the players sign those, and then they embed them in the card and put like this nice frame around them. But if the player signed too low on the Avery label, you can see it's almost covered up a little bit by the card here. And so that's, suboptimal, and probably why the autograph is a 9, because in both cases for Ovechkin and Kovalchuk, part of it goes under that autograph window. And I was right there, Josh. This is the last card to survive. Who knows how long this will go? It's already going to go another minute and a half, because there's been another bid to extend it. So there is a bidding war going on between at least 2 people for this card. And I wonder if I don't know that I would have picked this to be the sole survivor, but it's kind of fun to know that out of 205 cards, this is the sole survivor. This is the one that's going to end up with Jeff Probst and claim the check for $1 million at the end of the season. So, okay, none of that is true, but I watched
your $1 million, not mine.
Yeah. Alan says TJ Sochi. That's good. That's a great spin on his name. Nick Martelli says, safe to say hockey is in a healthy place for the hobby. I certainly feel that it is personally. So glad to see that you feel the same way, Nick. And, it's very passionate collectors in hockey. Well, I don't know, Josh. I mean, we can sit here and watch this, or I think we can probably just wrap up and assume that we know that this is the last card. We'll see what it sells for eventually. Maybe what we can do, actually, before we wrap up, I want to do this. We're going to go to status, and we're going to say closed, and we're going to stick with the weekly auction here, and we're going to sort by highest bid, and let's just do that. All right, there we go. I took it off. It took a second for it to respond. I'm just going to let it work itself out in the background there. And then we'll see what the highest items were. We'll just go through the first page. I think that'll be fun, Josh, to see what the big items were. So first and foremost, the Wayne Gretzky Crosby Tribute RPA does $25,000, exactly what my friend thought it would sell for. Second up is this Yzerman BVG 10 at $6,600. And then a Crosby SP Authentic Future Watch Auto in a BGS 9 holder does $5,160. And there's a PSA 10 Ovechkin Young Guns for $5,000. And we saw the SP Game Use numbered out of $999. I think a PSA 10 did under $1,000. So I think that's one of these sort of things where, again, I'm not going to say that the market's wrong, because the market will tell us what these cards are worth on any given day. But it's where I just feel like, maybe there's some more progress to occur. I'll sort of leave it at that. One of my favorites in the whole auction does $4,400, Josh. So that's more than double the last time it sold. And I think it's I don't see how this is an 8. Again, I don't see it, but it's likely there. But I just don't understand. It's such a beautiful card. Ooh, this Ovechkin does $3,600 that we saw. The Gretzky Noise Boys Pop 2 PSA 10 does $3,500. And last I saw, this was like under $1,000. So this wasn't keeping tabs on it, but this must have just popped up in the last in extended there. The Gretzky Tops PSA 9 OC does $3,300. Here we have 2 Ovechkin Young Guns, a Crosby Young Guns, and a Gretzky autograph, all in that $2,000 range, or $1,700 to $2,700. The BGS 9 Borje Salming does $1,260. Another Crosby Young Gun, BGS 9.5, does $1,530. There's the Tops. What? How is this only $990? This doesn't make sense. That is...
Looking it up right now.
Pardon?
Looking it up right now.
Check it out, Josh. What are some comps on a PSA 9 Topps Lemieux rookie? While you're finding that, I'm just going to a couple quick comments here. Kevin says, figured out the 2 versions of the Crosby rookie update. First was numbered to 199, but only 176 produced. So Upper Deck released another 23 to make up the difference. Yeah, that was such. I remember that situation, Kevin. It was so weird, and I prefer the ones out of 199. The ones out of 23, I hated how Upper Deck handled that back in the day. So to me, it's just a weird nuance. We have the Essential Credentials. welcome to the show. Matt says, hope you guys had a nice weekend. Same to you. Good to see you as always. And as did you find any comps, Josh, on the PSA 9 Topps Lemieux rookie?
That's about what it goes for, Jeremy. I just think there's such a huge difference between OPG and PSA 9. As I'm looking at the last few sales, there's one on the 8th of January for $969 US. Prior to that, $865 US, $900 US. So it seems like that is really what it's going for. And right now I'm going to pull up the OPG to do a little comparison.
Sure. We have a Gretzky scripted swatches from 2011, did $900, and a PSA 8 holder. BGS 5.5 Topps Gretzky does $840. Patrick Kane SP Authentic limited Future Watch auto patch does $840. That's a PSA or a BGS 8 with a 9 auto. Not sure why the auto got a 9. And an Yzerman PSA 9 rookie did $630. So some decent prices. Yeah, if that's what this sells for, I mean, it just seems so inequitable to me that the OPG would sell for so much more. But we'd have to compare the populations too, both the 9 pop and the overall pop, kind of the mint rate, if you will.
The OPG sells for around $3,000 US. So it's about 3x times the Topps. And I'll go really quick. I should have checked the pop count on the Topps PSA 9.
Okay.
And that is just waiting for that has a pop count of 1,071 for the PSA 9.
Okay. All right. T-Dot says the OPG does about 4,400, and that could be the Canadian version. Said that the Topps was priced right. Chuck tells us that Lemieux sold for $1,770 in April 2022. A standard 9 goes around $1,000. So this one does have the NBA sticker and the PWCC eye appeal. I think for those reasons, being a very strong 9, I feel that card was just sold too low. If I would have been on the ball, I might have made a play at that. And then T-Dot says OPG Lemieux 9 is 4K. Yeah. So, and again, we might be just getting our currencies sort of mixed up a bit, but or not mixed up, just kind of commingled. So, okay, well, there we have it, everybody. There's the top 24 items out of 214 that sold. When we started, I thought it was 205, so I'm not sure where these other 9 items came for, but I'm sure there's a legitimate explanation to that. And I don't know, Josh, we're at an hour 47. I'm ready to wrap up. How about you?
I'm good. It was fun. A lot of knowledge. I learned a lot and hopefully contributed a little bit, but can't wait to do it again.
All right, man. Well, thank you for joining. Everyone in the chat, thank you so much for tuning in and joining us during this show. We had fun for the inaugural, and the plan is to do it again. So we'll see you again, hopefully next week. And have a great week ahead, everybody. That's the end of the weekend. So thanks for tuning in. And this episode is now over. Good night.
Good night.